You received it, first of all, in a big cardboard box, right?
Yes.
That said language builder on the outside. And then on top, you saw the QR code. So most likely you skipped that step and didn't do anything about the QR code. But if you scanned the QR code, you would be looking at your phone and it would send you to a portal and give you a little direction on how to open it up.
And more importantly, how to register as a user of ARIS, which is very key because it will get you a lot of extras.
Free stuff.
So it gets you access to our user portal, which gives you all of the downloadables. It gives you extra stuff as we create. We're constantly creating new materials, and it gives you access to all those materials. So you definitely want to register as a user.
If you didn't look at the QR code there's also a QR code on this piece of paper, which I think is going to be the first thing that they'll pull out. And it literally just says, what do you do when you open the box? First thing, pull out all the product. Second thing, hang up the posters.
Okay, stop.
Do a bunch of stuff.
Do a bunch of stuff.
So, I don't know, if I open this up, the first thing I would do is probably take out all of these boxes first.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, keep talking all those details.
And there's a nice, pretty foam that we're going to take that out.
So, more boxes. So, the next thing, put that up there.
Okay, I can do that. Okay.
The big thing about this is the lesson boxes. So I think most people would take those out of the way and then we'd get out these very heavy, go first, lesson boxes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand you these.
Okay. Perfect.
Let's move this. Okay, awesome.
And
here's
then
the lesson
lesson
boxes.
boxes.
So you can pull that.
Absolutely.
Okay, lesson boxes. So you have box one, I have box two.
So I'm going to open box one. And I'm going to pull out.
You would find all of these. You've got an implementation guide. These are the posters. I mentioned the posters here. Okay, so the posters would come out of the box, and these are intended to be hung up on the wall. The idea is that everybody in the class needs to be thinking that we now have an ARIS classroom, and so our ARIS lessons are posted on the wall. It has standards, it has two of the assessments that are commonly used, the BB map and the ABLES, so the lessons are correlated to that. What else is in there?
It also has a scope and sequence.
Yes.
And
Structured sequence guide. Yep. So the structured sequence guide kind of gives you an idea of how children would tend to progress through the program.
Quick project.
So lessons. So there's 202 lessons, 7 content categories. Each content category is in a different color. So 7 content categories, 202 lessons in total. There's about 93 in box one. The rest are in box two.
93 in box one.
I couldn't do the math. Okay, so box one, box two. So you have the lessons. The lessons are arranged so that all of these materials that you see here, each lesson tells you which materials that you're going to use with it. So on the front, it'll tell you that. On the inside, can you pull out another lesson?
Absolutely.
So all the lessons are laid out in a similar format. So you'll see on every single lesson, you've got the lesson focus, the lesson format, procedures on this side, lesson progression, very important on this side, same thing going on over there, generalization and whole child lesson ideas, prompting, next steps, and some data sheets in the back. So the reason it's important to point that out is that when an educator is getting familiar with this, we don't want them to have to think about the different, the places they find the information. We want their brain to sort of be trained to say, okay, I know exactly, every single time I open this, I'm gonna look at the procedure section. I know where that is, that's the first thing I'm gonna look at. Now I'm trying to think about where I move forward with the student, I'm gonna read this slide here. So a lot of care went into making sure that they were laid out the same.
We wanted to make sure that there was consistent data that was being recorded, regardless of who was doing the recording of the data. Because the lessons are designed to be conducted by either a teacher or a parent or even a parent volunteer, we wanted to make sure that whoever it was who was reporting the data was keeping the most salient data in a consistent fashion so that you could make sure that you were monitoring the progress and you could track the progress and you could show how the student has been improving with the lesson.
So this lesson is pairing and accepting reinforcers, right?
Correct.
So the back, this data sheet is specifically for this lesson. On this one, this lesson is group play and socialization. So the data sheet that you're going to find on the back of this is a skills-based lesson. There's another one if you're doing a language lesson, say it was a vocabulary-based lesson. different data, different lessons. We want to make sure that we're promoting everybody in your classroom who's working with students to capture the right data. And that is important because the data that you keep will help you in your IEPs. It will help with your district, making sure that you're in compliance. It will help also make sure you can move the students forward, because that's the most important thing that we want is to have the students making progress. So you've got a box of NAM cards, another box of NAM cards. This is the most basic. This is the box of cards the company was founded on. Even before that, the earliest lessons are bringing in 3D manipulatives. So this is an example. Everybody loves this one because the shoes are so cute.
I like cute shoes.
They are amazing.
These little shoes.
Oh,
Little
Also-
hardware.
So when you first start working with students with autism, one of the very first lessons that you do is matching. So the idea is you've got a bowl and a chair, and you say the same. This nests together, so it's really obvious to put it in here. So the same, this goes here. You've got nesting cups, you've got nesting spoons. These are all 3D objects. There's also animals. More. There's also animals. So here are bags. They're really cute.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Let's try that.
Yeah, this one and foods. So foods are the bananas. There's the carrots. Yeah. So again, 2 of each of the items. So you're doing matching. You start with the matching lessons. You'd start out by matching the apple to the apple, and then you would be matching the apple to the card, and then you'd be matching the apple card to the apple card, and then you move on to the actual picture card. So it basically starts with the most basic thing we do with children and moves on through various lessons. You've gone from the 3D matching items, 3D to 3D, 3D to 2D, 2D to 2D, and moved on to NAM cards, and then there are a whole bunch of other flashcards. I think there's 1,200 plus flashcards in the set, and it includes nouns, it includes sequencing, emotions, occupations, and verbs with the set. So all of these cards are designed to cover. That would be fun. All these cards are designed to touch on various pieces of language that we're trying to teach children, and they directly support all of the materials in the lesson boxes. Yep. This is the really important piece. So this guy right here is heavy. It has lots of pages. I don't know how big this works.
You can hold some. You can hold some.
Okay.
Yeah, like this.
So this is everything you're going to need to do about implementing it. You need to know about implementing the program. It starts from just explaining everything I just said, why we chose the lessons that we chose, what's included in the data sheets. It talks about the assessment. I don't know what pages I should be looking at. It shows all the lessons that are involved, and also in the back, all of the IEP goals that are paired with the lessons. So that's pretty important. Okay, so there's an assessment that comes with the program. And on the portal online, you can actually find a rubric to help you place the student in the assessment. So for example, if we want to know how their fine motor skills are, they'll go and they'll look at it and say things like, can they stack blocks? Can they string beads? Can they use their zipper buttons, etc.? And each of those will say, will give you in the rubric ideas of where they will fall on that placement. So it might be they're able to pull a zipper with assistance, but they can't do a button. They might be able to pull a zipper without assistance and need assistance for the button. They might need assistance with time issues. So it actually goes through the list of skills in order to mark that mastered, and then tells them where to place in the system. So if they were only able to string beads but not able to stack blocks, or vice versa, we tell them where to start.
Exactly which lesson to pull from the box that, given even the lesson.
Did
no
you mention how much we were going to suck at this?
matter.
So one of the people that we brought on staff was an autism coach and a teacher in a classroom in Kansas area, and she was really excited about the behavior tracking sheet. So it's been fun because everybody that we talked to is excited about something different. So Frankie was really excited about behavior, and somebody else was Amanda excited about.
She was really excited about all the components that everything came with your business.
So the behavior tracking that Frankie was really excited about. The program is one of the only ones that comes with the positive behavior management system. So we've been told that this is something that is missing from a lot of the other curriculum programs that are out there. Our behavior management system walks teachers through how to deal with negative behaviors. And a lot of the negative behaviors are things that get in the way of learning and can often result in kids not being able to be placed in district. So when we hear something about a student having to be placed outside of district, sometimes at a very high expense, it's usually because of a behavior problem. So we wanted to address that with the curriculum. So this includes sections to capture behavior data, so observations the families do at home and for the teachers to do in the classroom. And then you collect that data and turn it into a system where you can make things better.
Where you can figure out which behaviors you want to target for elimination.
So one of the things that is important about ARIS is that we've tied it to standards. So the ABLES and the BD-MAP are two of the really most commonly used assessments in autism education. And so the guiding principles for ARIS included applied behavior analysis, which is a very common treatment and education protocol for students with autism.
We also tied to
the Head Start standards, because a lot of kids that are younger, pre-kindergarten age, are actually educated in Head Start programs, and so we included Head Start correlation as well.
And then we also tied to Common Core,
But we're not going to talk about that because that's bad.
And we also are now tied to state standards as well. So if you're in a state like Texas, which does not like to see that, we are correlated to your standards, the TEAC standards as well. And most of the other states that have their own specific standards, we also have alignments to.
So there are over 1,200 activity sheets in the kit that includes things for reading, for math, for tracing. There's a mind plate thing for your healthy eating.
Yes. And they're actually spread over 5 different books. The books are all spiral bound so that you can photocopy them really easily and use them again and again.
And they're on the portal.
Yeah, so you can download them and print them out from the user portal. Again, important, here's your plug. Scan the QR code in either the cover sheet or on the box lid and get registered as a user so you get access to that code. Very important.
So there is actually a quick start guide in the manual.
Implementation guide.
And that's referenced on your sheet here that says go to the quick start guide.
So
it has 9 steps. And it talks about, first thing you want to do is you scan your QR code again. The QR codes are everywhere in here. You want to create binders for each student. So we give you a guide here because you're going to want to collect data right away and decide what lessons for the students start. You will want to, where's number 2? It goes from 1 to 3, 2.
Binders. One is registered, 2 is
All right, so number 1 is register, 2 is create your binders, conduct the pairing and preference assessment. The very first thing you want to do, and that was the lesson that Cindy pulled out first, is pairing. So you would never want to just come in and dive right into student who I've just met who doesn't know me. Let's get started on teaching language lessons. You want to spend some time and have that student trust you. So this lesson is really important. You want to spend a couple of weeks even figuring out what is reinforcing for the students, so what will make them motivated to want to learn more. On the sheet that's on the back here, the pairing reinforcers sheet lists ideas of, are they food items, are they praise, are they specific toys, and there's actually a home communication sheet. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
Home communication sheet that you send home with the parents, ideally before the first day of school, that says, what is your student like? Like, what are their favorite foods? Do they like to be tickled? Do they not like to be touched? Are there certain words that are more reinforcing than others?
It could even be something like video clips of something that they like to watch,
Or
like
fans.
the Explorer, or fans going around, or whatever happens to make the kid motivated to work.
Okay, so you want to spend a lot of time on the pairing and reinforcers. Assessments of assess skills, vocabulary, and behavior baselines. So we mentioned there's an assessment in here. So you want to figure out where the student is so you know where to place them in the program, and then you want to assess what behaviors they're having challenges with. And again, there's a send home sheet for the parents that they can fill out, and then you will also do an observation in class. So once you finish the assessment, then you can figure out where you want to place the student. You can choose the first lessons. So if you learn that the student has only receptive language is when I say, point to the apple, and you hear those words and you point to the apple, as opposed to expressive language when I hold it up and I say, what is this? And you say, this is an apple. So if you learn that the student only has receptive language, then you might start at the expressive language activity. If the student has trouble waiting, there's literally a progression that you go through where it goes from, can you wait for 1 second? Can you wait for 3 seconds? Can you wait for 5 seconds? So that might be a place that you start. But when you do that assessment, it actually has lessons attached to where they score. That's choosing first lessons, gathering your materials. These are your materials.
And again, those are all spelled out once you grab the lesson on the front of the lesson folder, so you know what to grab.
And then you start conducting lessons. So you assess the student, you figured out what behaviors are going to be challenges, you've paired the students so that they really feel like you're somebody they want to interact with, you've figured out which lessons to start with, you've got your materials, and now you're going to get started on those lessons.
And you have all the motivating reinforcers so that you can reward them once they answer and respond appropriately.
And then you're going to record your data. So again, on the back of those lesson folders, there are data sheets, and that's where you track how the student is doing, and that's going to be really key because it's going to help you, again, with your IEPs. It's going to help you move the student forward through the program.
And you're also going to communicate the data to the home with our home communication sheets that are also included in the implementation guide.